place, and Schalke might be locked out after this game. That's our checkup. Let's get on into the action. Fnatic on the blue side, Roccat on the red, and it's Camille and Varus removed by Fnatic, and Akali taken away by Roccat.
I want to see whether Roccat put any emphasis on AD carry bans. There's a bit of respect to Reckless, who's playing his second game since his
return.
The return of Reckless. That's a nice little camera angle we got on him. It's like full body shot.
It's an important camera angle for us to have a look at. Pike removed as well by Roccat, getting that out of the hands of Hylissang. I think one of the important things about the return of Reckless is he had a good game last week. His Ezreal was very strong, but the team wasn't focused on him. It wasn't like last year where it was all about funneling into Reckless, getting him as much gold as possible. It was much more playing around Caps, playing around Broxah, and then Reckless was just a good addition to the team.
Absolutely, and what's interesting about the pick and ban right here is that Nocturne has been left open.
Okay.
And that is something that often you see taken away. It's not quite that guaranteed first pick that we see all the time. So the thing is though,
Nocturne mid.
It could be the Nocturne mid, but I don't think it will be. But if Edis is watching, I'm sure we'll entertain him.
I hope he is, because he has to analyze the game afterwards.
But what I want to see is if Fnatic take the blind Nocturne like they did last time when they played versus Vitality, and Kikis destroyed Broxah in that 1v1 jungle matchup. So whether or not there's some kind of change in priority here for Fnatic after that game, whether they think, no, that was just a one-off. All right.
Okay.
Leona, interesting pick here into the Rakan.
So Leona is an incredibly good matchup into Rakan, because as soon as he jumps in, you just stun lock him.
Yes.
It's really, really good. We'll talk a little bit more about the complexities of the matchup when we get in.
Sure.
Norskeven has actually already played at this split and has a 100% win rate on Leona, so it's a good sign for Roccat already.
And the Rakan, on the other hand, not talking about the matchup specifically, but just as a champion, it's sort of like similar to how Pike plays as well. That whole kind of play style, and Hylissang very highly touted for his Pike plays. When you have a playmaking support like that Rakan, then you're pretty sorted. And then it really sets up nicely for that bot lane as well, with Reckless being able to pick up the Xayah too, because this means that it's a lane that you can leave behind if you want to, as in you don't have to do anything specific to that lane. It's a winning lane by itself in most matchups. But if you also want to play around them, there's still that possibility to do so. It's one of these very flexible and strong lanes just by itself categorically, which means that there's a lot of different things you can do in the strategy around them, which is why oftentimes the Xayah Rakan is broken up. They're split up. The divorce papers are filed and they're not allowed to play together.
Have a little bit of a lover's quarrel down towards that bottom lane, but Roccat decided to go for the Rumble here. I was looking to see if they'd go to the jungle picks, because something like a Trundle would have been very good for them. And Fnatic realized that they're going to ban it away. Roccat get rid of the Mundo in the top lane.
But this Nocturne is still open. It would be very surprising for me if it follows through the picks and the bans. And so, it is a possibility here.
Would you pick it as Roccat though? Well, into a Sedge 1, right. That's my question.
I think there's still potential to pick it. I think that you can, if you wish to, still run the Nocturne with moderate success here. But I wouldn't pick it now if I'm Roccat. This would not be my Nocturne pick, because it really depends on what else comes through. Nocturne has more success against team comps where he can actually have a target to ultimate. And Fnatic right now haven't really drafted that. So it would depend on what the last two picks were. But as it turns out, Memento wants that Kindred, which I'm a big fan of in general. I think Memento's Kindred is really good. In my notes that I wrote down for this game, I said just don't draft Sejuani. So that already going over to Fnatic, I think that's hidden away there. And yeah, there's a Kindred pick which Memento's had a lot of success with. And a return of the Ornn.
Ornn in the top lane for Soaz. It's important to note that last time Fnatic played with Reckless, it was Whippo in the top lane. Now they brought in Soaz, really utilizing this 6-man roster that they have. Looking for that mid lane pick for Caps. Could be Nocturne mid, but counter matchup is there for Blanc, depending on what Caps does decide to choose.
If Caps goes for this LeBlanc, oh my goodness, that is a blind LeBlanc nonetheless. That to me is surprising, because LeBlanc is one of those champions I think, unless you're hideously comfortable on her, it would be relatively matchup dependent as to whether or not you're going to have a fun time in that game.
It's the first time Caps has played at this split as well, so...
it screams Caps to me though, that champion, do you know what I mean? So I think with Roccat here, if they pick like a safe laner, and the Orianna is still up, which, oh my lordy, okay, that's Lissandra mid.
Yep, something that Blanc has played a couple of times, so it's a bit of a surprise, but it's not so much of a surprise.
I was Slightly surprised to see it into the LeBlanc specifically, because I think you could have picked something that would punish it more. Having said that, there is still potential with the pick to punish that LeBlanc. If you just push out the lane as best you can, spam those Qs, especially if you get a bit of jungle love and attention to enable you to do that without getting punished by Broxah or any other kind of roam. And then it's really easy to lock down the LeBlanc as well. You press R on her, and then suddenly what once was a very slippery champion with all the jumps, the dashes, and the hop backs becomes something that you can focus. Hopefully Caps has taken the cleanse to nullify a bit of that. I didn't quite see whether or not he has, but he should take the cleanse in order to make that matchup not as painful for him. But of course, that always means if you're taking cleanse, you don't have ignites, which is something that LeBlanc really likes.
Pump out that damage as much as possible. I was just quickly scouring through my own records, and it looks like the last time Caps played LeBlanc was actually at the World Championship play-ins. It's against Young Generation last year, so quite a while since he's last played that. Was actually surprised to see that it being that long. Played it in playoffs against Misfits as well at the end of last summer, so almost a year since we've seen Caps play this competitive league. Looking forward to see how it goes. So let's have a look at how these competitions line up against each other as we jump onto Summoner's Rift for the match between Fnatic and Roccat. Ornn, Sedge, LeBlanc, Xayah, Roccat from Fnatic, and Rumble, Kindred, Lissandra, Ezreal, and Leona from Roccat.
For me, Fnatic's team comp right here is you can do it one of two ways. You can either look for picks, especially if you get ahead, that's a really good strategy to go for. Work with that LeBlanc in the mid lane, use the Sejuani ultimate, the Ornn Horn as well, the Ram Jam, if you will. But on the other hand, you can also just go for team fights. I think this is a team comp that absolutely can just play towards those team fights when you've got decent protection for Reckless to sit in the backline and do things. And I mean, LeBlanc is really not that bad of a team fighter. I think it's kind of overestimated that she's really good in like the side lanes and roaming into the enemy jungle and finding people like that, and then she's just rubbish when it comes to group top fights. I mean, it's not her forte, but she can still operate pretty well in those situations.
Roccat, on the other hand, have a lot of zone control in these team fights. You can Glacial Tomb, the Lamb's Respite coming out from Memento, Prophet with the Equalizer, Norscarin with the Solar Flare. You have the ability to just put a huge amount of damage down in any skirmish, in any team fight you have.
I would really like to see Roccat actually play towards the top side early, because I would like to see if they could shut down Soaz, because for me, he is a player who I would not call him a weak link by any means, because he is so good. But I think that he can be vulnerable to actually dying in the game as well. I think that that is something where you can catch him out of position. Sometimes he doesn't necessarily respect the ganks as much as he should. And if you get Prophet ahead, Prophet is really good on this Rumble pick. But also just in general with this champion right now, it's actually really hard if you're Fnatic to avoid a strong Rumble from destroying your team. Distortions don't really do too much against you, and it's very telegraphed for Prophet to put one down on your distortion pad. And even the Xayah ultimate, which is the other way for Xayah to protect herself. Again, if you put the red carpet down, yes, you can like fly and get move away from it, but it's not really ideal. It still zones you out of the fight. I think that can be really effective. But then there's Leona, so hey, you can also just play for that.
Yeah, where do you want to play towards? We've seen Leona utilized incredibly well by European teams before. Remember the SKT series where Ignar highlighted her to great success. But one of her main strengths is her power in the lane, her CC potential, her ability to close a gap. And that's what I want to keep my eyes on here. Blanc attacking the wrong one. Cap says, hey, still the wrong one, mate. You wanna hit the one that chucks the Sigil of Malice at your face, if you can.
But you were mentioning how the Leona-Rakan matchup specifically, as a Rakan enthusiast that you are, the Leona was picked into this for what reason, man?
Well, I'm going to quickly talk about Caps almost killing Blanc in the mid lane, which is what he did there. He didn't manage to. But yeah, the reason that Leona is so good into Rakan is, think about this, right? Say every time you ran at my face, I hit you. Yeah. How would that feel?
Well, I'd question why I'm running at your face anyway.
Exactly. And you know what Rakan likes doing?
What's that?
Jumping in people's faces.
That's true.
You know what Leona does when you jump in her face?
She hits you.
She hits you with her shield. And that's pretty painful, and it stops you in place as well. So the stun lock, the ability to lock the Rakan down, and your natural tankiness actually makes it quite difficult for the Rakan to win out the matchup. I like the fact that Hylissang's gone for the Spell Thief's Edge, because you can harass a melee opponent, gets him, you see, uses the Gleaming Quill, gets the heal off, and that means he'll be able to get towards that sight zone a little bit quicker. But it's not the easiest matchup at all for the Roccat.
I would say it's a bit of a double-edged sword, however, because that also makes you more of a prime target for the Leona Engage, if you've gone for the AP style and itemization there. So if you're already into a bit of a tough matchup, but let's not beat around the bush here. Leona is not a champion we see too much of in any pro play, so it may be something that pro players aren't necessarily 100% confident in that specific matchup, so maybe they don't necessarily have the same amount of respect as they might do in a different matchup.
That's true. I think Leona's been around for long enough that most of our pros will have at least a casual understanding of her. Actually, Scaren's roaming up towards mid here, just trying to get some vision down. We haven't really talked about the other side of this bot lane matchup. We talked a lot about the supports, but AD carries are very important as well, and Reckless once again has returned to the stage for Fnatic. He last week played the Ezreal, did a pretty good job on it, was consistent, had a very good late game team fight as well. But what surprised me about it and what I want to really highlight is the fact that the game wasn't about Reckless.
Right.
It was about Fnatic as a team, and Reckless was a component of that team.
Yeah, and whenever you're playing Ez, you can just kind of sit by yourself and do your things. Now, if you had Ignite there, Caps, buddy, you would have got a kill.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, the cleanse is a smart choice, but hey.
That's the solo queue jungler.
Yeah, that's the solo queue.
Mate, you could have got a kill for me. I would have had jungle pressure. I could have invaded. Yeah. Maybe his grump is up.
But this is a difficulty for Roccat right here. When they're bleeding mid pressure like this, fortunately, they have the top lane pressure to match up for this top crab, which Memento really wants because it's his stack as well. But it will make it harder for Roccat, and specifically Memento, to make any sort of proactive moves into the enemy jungle or around the top side, because you know that LeBlanc will get that first move on you, and LeBlanc, being LeBlanc, is really tough at just playing versus really at this stage of the game when you are the jungler. She'll one-combo you, and it's not pretty. So Blanc, I'm not sure what he's going to itemize for initially first, but I would say this guy needs some sort of magic resist.
Okay.
Because he cannot afford to get chunked out of lane and bleed the mid lane pressure, but he also wants to make sure that he can step up to push Caps in, but you can't do that if you threaten just dying as well.
We will keep our eyes on what he builds first. Something like an Abyssal Mask would give you that magic resist. We have seen it on some of these more control mages, but haven't seen that many Lissandra. So I'd expect maybe the Rod of Ages instead could still be the Abyssal Mask. He's building towards that Catalyst. A lot of different options for him. Brox is ganking towards mid here as Caps has already hit level 6. The chains lands on a minion, but Brox are here in time, looking for that stun lock. No scaring it coming in from the side. The level 6 hit by Blanc, turns it back around. Hillsang here as well. Memento joins the fray. 3v3 teleport coming in from Soaz. Isn't gonna cancel. The Ram Jam comes down, and it's a spicy sandwich. Blanc ignited. He's gonna fall, but here's the equalizer in response. Blanc goes down. One in response for Roccat as well. Ends up being a one-for-one trade in the mid lane. Caps jumps in once again with the ethereal chains, but just going to get a little bit of poke down.
And the first blood actually went over to Roccat in that play, and more importantly, it's a kill onto Prophet compared to a kill onto Hillsang, which works in the favor of Roccat overall right there. And hey, if my crystal ball here, where I talked about getting the top laner ahead and getting that Rumble strength, if that comes true, then that will be really scary for Fnatic, because they don't really have a great way of dealing with him. So let's take a look at how this play all started off here. Blanc with a bit of a disrespectful TP into the middle of the lane when Caps is already level 6. Brox are not quite able to land that knock-up, which is kind of crucial, because without that knock-up, it makes it harder to combo this down, which means that Blanc can survive long enough for the rest of the team to all come through. And when Soaz doesn't cancel this TP, Rumble starts channeling his own here, and that's when it all just gets very explosive, because a level 6 Rumble with that red carpet is really, really good in those scenarios. And you saw it right there. They're able to get the first blood and salvage that play pretty nice.
Memento got out on the lowest sliver of HP there as well. Must have been sub 100, but Roccat will take it. It's like gold lead for them. That CS advantage up towards the top side as well, and Prophet just securing everything he can. It's like, I'll take a Scuttle, I'll take some deep vision as well if I can. Getting everything for his team at the moment. Broxer comes in, there's the prison. Caps gonna distort it, and that's an easy enough kill for the Fnatic mid laner to secure.
And that is the downside of playing versus a Sejuani without the cleanse in that mid lane. Anytime he comes through with that glacial prison, you're essentially a free kill. And we've seen Fnatic put a huge amount of focus into that mid lane, into the LeBlanc specifically. They know that they can unlock Caps, and if they get that unlock in the mid lane, then he can then move around very easily as well. So you're putting resources into one lane, which will still benefit you into the other lanes as he then gets higher in that strength and starts moving around.
So you need to see how Roccat play the next few minutes, especially that mid-game portion. That's where their main strength lies. And I want to just look at some of the key players for Roccat, because they are already out of the playoff space. You know, Fnatic still fighting for first. If they win this, they are guaranteed at least third and guaranteed a tiebreaker for first.
Because
Roccat
should hold this.
Yeah, they have looked very strong. There's the equalizer coming out. Caps getting chased down. Flame Spitter, Ethereal Chains as well, but Caps is done. Prophet flashes in to secure that kill, and they're going to push forward this mid lane tower as well.
Like I mentioned, it is difficult for, even though these champions are quite slippery on Fnatic's side, it's difficult to deal with that equalizer. Even though, to be honest, Prophet kind of floofed that ult.
It was a little bit of a floof.
May use a technical term there. But that's still a kill, and that's really, really impactful for Roccat specifically, because you don't want Cap to start running away with this game. Yes, he did get ahead for a little bit there with the gank from Broxer, but you still need to put him in his place so he doesn't run away with the game.
No vision at all for Fnatic in this top side, so just good stuff all around from Roccat to set this up.
It's a pretty greedy double distortion, honestly, when you have no vision, as you mentioned. But to be fair, he probably didn't expect to get ganked from Prophet there, but at the same time, bit greedy, mate.
And this is the guy that you said was going to be MVP of the split. He should probably expect that when a Rumble's ahead in the top lane, he's going to start ganking mid.
But this is where he's just spamming a top laner.
Yeah, it's
just top.
Should have brought back Bripper.
Oof. That one stings. I think you'll see more percentage of Reckless, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, rather than Soaz.
Okay.
Soaz seems kind of unfazable.
That's true. I mean, he has consistently been the veteran of this team and the guy that escapes these massive ganks and could get 4 miles behind and still have a big impact on the game, which is what I expect to see from him on this Ornn with that Ram Jam.
Yes, with the Ram Jam, indeed. I always question, is it really that impressive if your notable standout plays are escaping sticky situations?
Yes.
It's cool, but why are you in a sticky situation so much in the first place?
Because your team puts so much emphasis on the other lanes
it could
that
be.
you get left out to dry.
It could be, if you want to spin it that way. I'm sure that's what his PR agent says when he writes the riot script.
Good stop there. Good stop.
Fair enough. I will say, all right.
Okay.
Because that is very possible, and we see that a lot with top laners, and it is a huge benefit when you can have laners absorb pressure, but also get away with them and not just die over and over. And Soaz has been one of those players who's very good at doing that.
Oh, he's so good at doing that. It has been one of his standout traits across the last few years. Standout members for Roccat this split, in my opinion. Looking at their jungler and at their support, you can see Memento. Once again, this early game has been a little bit weak for him as the fight starts down towards the bottom lane. Hiku going to get away for the time being, but Reckless puts down the Feather Storm. Norscarin coming in from a flank here is not going to be able to do too much against 2 members of Fnatic. Here comes the Ornn Horn, the knockup. Roccat. Blunk's going to save himself for the time being with the Glacial Tomb. Soaz still tanking up the tower. A superb stopwatch. Memento caught in the Glacial Prison in time, though, and now Soaz not in the best of spots. Prophet gets the killing spree. 2 members of Fnatic fall, and an incredible collapse from Roccat.
They throw everything at Blanc on that Lissandra, but he is so blooming slippery. He's got that catalyst, so he's tanky. He's got that stopwatch as well, and he has his ultimate. He's so hard to take down, and Roccat with a really good collapse on that one to turn that play around. They really want that mid tower. It's going to cost Memento's life.
Yeah, Memento still had his ultimate there as well, so maybe just didn't expect that amount of damage to go down. They do get the mid tower. They get top tower as well. Roccat going ahead. So about a 2,000 gold lead here over Fnatic, who are going to try and push in this mid. Hiku's on his way up as well. We use the True Shot Barrage to clear out the way. Oh, Hylissang just survives, and Norscarin dies. That was so close.
Oh, man. Look at Prophet's smile on that cheeky smile on his face. That was so close. If they were slightly more synergized there, oh, my lordy, Hiku, mate, you got to be careful, buddy.
Caps.
Oh, he doesn't quite fancy it.
And here he goes, spotted on a ward. Caps.
Yes.
Hiku only has the E to get away, jumps away, but Caps follows him, lands the chains, and we'll get that final auto attack down.
How did he land that chain?
He's Caps.
Yes, that is absurd. That is actually absurd.
We'll watch again how Hiku got caught out the first time here, though.
So Hiku is being left alone right here because Norscarin wants to roam so much. And generally speaking, you can do that on an Ez, because Ez is one of the safest, if not the safest, bot laners. Not safe enough, sadly, for Roccat and for Hiku there, and this is what we were talking about before, about how it's just so blooming hard to get in onto Blanc. He has that ultimate which denies the ram jam. He has the stopwatch as well, and then when Roccat just have a really good team play there, just collapse onto that mid lane, they punish Fnatic in that scenario. But to be honest, you have to say as well, Fnatic probably should have been expecting that at least Northscarin would be around, because, I mean, he's not bot. You just killed Hiku. You punished Hiku because Northscarin was off roaming, and then he shows up and, you know, blocks you because he's roaming.
It's definitely perhaps a misplay from Fnatic. We have seen that happen a few times in the past where they're just a little bit too eager in the early game. Here, it's cost them about 2,000 gold. They're 2 towers down. Rod of Ages completed on Blanc now. Morello Nomicon finished on Prophet as well, so he's in a very good spot building up towards that second item. And when we get to those second, third items, that's really when Roccat will be looking for a fight. Caps jumps in, Hiku jumps away. Here comes the call of the Forge God onto Northscarin. Teleport coming in behind them as well. Memento straight into the Lamb's Rest by the Equalizer. Well placed. Northscarin the first one to go down, but Blanc finds the flank. Goes Golden himself. Doesn't catch out a member of Fnatic. Caps jumps back in. Memento across the wall, leaps away. Caps low, so is in the front line. The Reckless on the flank. The AD carry coming to party. Memento gets a little bit of damage down, but Blanc is the one to fall. Probably going to try and turn this one around. He's the key member. Hiku there as well. Caps onto Memento. The flash forward. It's enough! And he gets away with the double kill.
That was cheeky. Caps on the side there, picking up a kill at the end of that fight. Man, it looked like for a while there, Roccat were actually going to be the ones to turn that around. You get so hungry for chasing that kill. Broxel was so low, and Roccat had eyes for him. They were hungry. But they forgot about Caps, and you cannot forget about him when he's playing this champion. Despite it being the first time in about a year, you said he's played this guy?
Yep.
Come on, how is he doing this?
It's been a long time. This replay is brought to you by Acer Predator and brought to you by Caps clapping Roccat.
As Caps tends to do with a lot of his opponents here. This all starts with Northscarin getting caught out a little bit with that engage from Soaz, and it's one of the downsides of Leona. She's good at going in, but not too much on the receiving end. And this is where, for me, it looks like Rocket's kind of getting back into the fight a little bit. Ez is throwing out Qs, Memento's hitting from over the wall, and then Prophet decides to try and turn. But look at Caps. On that health as well, to have the presence of mind to go for a play like that, he's on less than a third health. That is just so much confidence coming out of him. Why is he playing in the LCS and smurfing? How does he make it look like that's happening?
But it's so impressive because when Reckless left the roster, when we had those 2 funnel games at the start of the split, a lot of people were saying, well, who's going to step up? You've got Whippo, you've got Soaz, maybe Caps can as well after a good Worlds performance, but the development and the maturation we have seen from Caps in this mid lane has really just exemplified the spirit of Fnatic this split.
Yeah, and this is the thing where right now you look at Caps, like, yeah, he's really good, probably the best mid laner in EU, but legitimately, before this season started, people were still like, Caps is good, but he's inconsistent. Yeah. He has good performances, but he's not really that carry. He's not really that big oomph player, because he's just, sometimes it works, other times it's really not that good. And people weren't sold on him being even a top tier mid laner, let alone even statistically, as you can see here. He's just bringing it in and burst in damage. It's just so scary. And that to me, that damage that really summarizes Caps. Because even when he gets ganked, or even when he gets put out of the game a little bit, he never is actually out of the game. Because he's always just dishing out damage. He always finds a way to punish enemy teams.
Well, Roccat trying to do that right now. Prophet with the flank. Equalizer goes down, lands on 3 members of Fnatic, but Caps will flash away, jump away. So as there as well, jump in from Northscarin, doesn't land the blade, and that means that Fnatic can turn this one around. They're looking for a bit of a ram jam. The combo comes down. Lamb's Rest by use. Hylissang caught in the midst of it all. Reckless stunned up by Northscarin as well. Already Hylissang down. Soaz as well. Roccat. Fnatic were the ones to force the fight, but Roccat come out 2 for 0.
All right, so that was a dipsy-dipsy-do in that situation.
Oh, a dipsy-dipsy-do. I thought it was a dipsy-dipsy. Don't do that, Fnatic.
Well, it was a dipsy, and then it was a whatever I said second.
Dipsy.
And then it was a do at the end. Because that was first by Roccat, then by Fnatic, and then actually won by Roccat in the end. This game has some ridiculous fights in it, Medic, mate, if I can be honest.
Let's have a look at this dipsy-dipsy-do.
Let's look at this dipsy-dipsy-do. So right now, this is the dipsy. This is when Prophet gets in with the flank, and I'm like, this is so beautiful. But then he doesn't really get a good ultimate off. They're not in a great position, and really they're just kind of blown it all. without really achieving too much. And this is when the second Dipsy comes through, because it's the re-engage with the Ram Jam in a perfect position, followed by the combo. But then this is where the do comes through, because Fnatic aren't actually winning this fight. And Roccat turn it all around, and walk away with 2 kills.
Yep, still a gold lead for Roccat as well. 1,600 gold ahead. Rift Herald was picked up by Broxler, so he can look to place that down and get another tower for his team. But equalize the score just a little bit. Having a quick look across these gold differentials, I'm surprised to not see a bigger difference in mid lane. It's actually a lead for Blank over Caps, even though Caps has those 4 kills underneath his belt. Big lead for Reckless, though. He's about 700 gold ahead.
And if you look in that top lane, that is dank.
Beefy. That's a dank lead.
That is hench. That is actually massive. I did say at the beginning, you know, if you get resources into Profit, I think he's actually really good into this Fnatic lineup, and he's been given the resources. And this is what I love so much about this player specifically. He doesn't let you down, especially on this Rumble pick. Holy! Oh my lordy.
That's a dipsy do there from Caps. Gets the kill in the mid lane. Rift Herald isn't even going to need to charge at this tower. We'll go for the next one. Take no damage from that first one. And the problem with Prophet is he's up in the top lane. If all your gold is on him,
yes,
needs to be with your team. Caps jumps in, hits onto North Scare, and there Rift Herald pushing on towards the tower as well. Reckless joins the fight. Here comes Prophet.
Blanc wants this.
From the side. Solar Flare hits. Blanc goes in, doesn't catch. And now we'll see the turnaround. Caps jumps in. There's the equalizer, only going to land onto one.
Don't know about this.
Forge God hits as well, misses in between the post. Caps all the way in, and the long-range chain connects onto North Scaren. So it's still taking up the tower. Prophet's trying to turn it around. He's in at the overcharge point. Caps misses the chains, cleanses away, but the turnaround from Reckless is still there. Caps jumps onto Blanc. Goodbye. He's dominating. Reckless falls. But it's still the Cap show. You've got to watch him from the side. Roccat. Pick up another one.
He's going to do something.
Caps. Just do it, man. Just do it.
Oh man, watching Caps play, he keeps you at the edge of your seat because you know he's looking for it. You know he's looking for it. Oh my lordy, he is. These fights are just. I don't really know what to say about them. Honestly, it's like I feel like Fnatic are trying too hard to make them work. I think honestly they're just pulling the trigger a bit too much here. Like right here in this scenario, what you're going to see is the Ornn ultimate come down as a sort of like counter engage. Roccat failed the first engage, and then when this Ornn ultimate comes through, right here, I'm thinking Fnatic, you guys are going a little bit too far in here. You are kind of trying to tower dive 2 towers right here. It's probably not going to work. But just look at Caps. Look at the way Caps plays these fights. It really all just come down to him. You're seeing a standard team fight happen in the middle of your screen, and then you're just seeing someone smurfing on the right-hand side of your screen. It's just incredible how this guy manages to weave his way through these team fights, and it almost in some kind of like poetic form, creating his masterpiece and just leaving bodies all over. He has
transcended the rift.
Yeah, it's
watching from above.
It's just really weird seeing him play because it's fun to watch.
It's very
fun to watch.
However, if you're a Fnatic fan and you think we want to lock that first pop, it's probably not that fun to watch. Caps is fun, but the rest of the team is not that fun because Roccat are still coming out on top in some of these team fights. They're still 1,000 gold ahead. They still have Leandri's finished on Prophet now, so they're in a very good spot. Cap's going to jump in onto Memento. Won't get the chase down. Hylissang and Reckless in the mid lane as well. Once again, it's a fight all around this Baron. Soaz has the teleport to join the fight if he needs to.
And with Caps having that cleanse, which is on cooldown right now, but does have a very low cooldown, I think it might be the lowest summoner cooldown in the game.
I don't know how long Clarity is. I feel like Clarity is pretty sure.
Lowest summoner cooldown of usable summoners in the game.
Oh, Norskaven caught out here. That's going to be the knockup. Won't be able to get away from that. Pops the Solar Flare, but easy enough kill there for Fnatic. A little bit of a gift from Norskaven.
Norskaven has definitely been sitting at the front of the struggle bus this game. I mean, when he was catching the struggle bus, you know how usually, sometimes, when you're sitting there at the bus stop, got your farm out, goes past you.
Great engage onto Memento as well. He'll join Norskaven on the struggle bus. It seems like Roccat have a season pass for that at the moment as Fnatic just look to get this inhibitor. 2,000 gold lead for them now. They've just turned this game straight around. Glacial Tomb lands. There's the equalizer as well. Across to all members of Fnatic. True Shot Barrage. Reckless still pretty healthy. Caps, that's the clone getting chased off towards the bottom side. He's going to pop. Reckless gets the root. Fnatic have to stop before they can go for the inhibitor. But imagine if Roccat had that combo with a Leona there as well.
Absolutely, or just some more damage with Memento being up as well. That is the benefit of Rockat's combo, is anytime Caps jumps forward, you can just click and just catch him. Which is what when we're talking about cleanse as well. Just look at that. Caps is just absolutely obliterating this this game right here. As the Prophet is doing in these team fights that we've seen a lot of the game being played around. But so North Scarin, we're about to see him catch the struggle bus, as sometimes one goes past and doesn't actually stop for you. That's definitely not happened this game. In fact, it mounted the curb and just smacked him in the face. So he's off to the Shadow Realm, and then it opens up when you get that pick. Suddenly you're out of position, you're man down. Roccat, Prophet resetting, not a good time to reset. Memento, or maybe it is a good time to reset. Memento, either way, you can't be there when it's happening. But this is when Caps jumps forward there, which we won't see. But he gets caught by the Blanc ultimate, by Lissandra's ulti. And without that cleanse, that is the one way that you can really punish Caps.
So, good spot to call that one up earlier on. Blanc will take the tower down towards this bottom side. Soaz does have the ultimate up here. He's going to use it. Call of the Forge Guard. Trunk, no flash. Glacial Tomb used. Soaz trading in with the minions here. Puts down a pillar.
Ooh.
Does get the brittle stun there as well. Another pillar comes out. Blanc looking to escape, but can't get away in time. And Soaz may be able to escape, but no one can escape his clutches.
I thought Caps was the clapper. Do you see the way Ornn took down Lissandra there? That was a massive clap. But the whole benefit of that, of getting that solo kill in a side lane, means that Fnatic can now have the whole reign of the top side of the map. As that kill was going down, Caps was pushing in to the top side. And even Fnatic are able to set up for, as we're seeing now, good old Naran Basher. And Hiku,
Caps not in a good spot. That has to flash across the wall. He almost escapes, but the Baron coming out here straight away from Fnatic. Fight continues from Roccat. Teleport actually used by Prophet. Decides he doesn't want to take the fight because the rest of Roccat not there to respond.
That was a bit of a little bit more than he could chew in that scenario. Caps, I mentioned Rockat's team comp, pretty decent at catching out Caps if he goes too aggressive. Also pretty good at catching Caps if he goes 1v4, trying to get that kill onto the enemy AD carry. It does mean, though, that Roccat are able to pause this Baron play for a little while longer, because, obviously, when Caps is dead, it means that you can't go for the Baron anymore. You ain't safe to do so. But from Rockat's perspective here, they need a lot more than just stalling. Because Fnatic, they're not going to give up.
Now, they just keep forcing fights, and they have the tools to do it. You've got Hylissang on the Rakan with the quickness, you've got Caps who can always jump in, Glacial Prison, Call of the Forge God, the Ram Jam, as you like to call it. Every single tool in their arsenal to force these fights. A little interesting stat for you is that if Fnatic come back from this deficit they had at 15 minutes, it will be the biggest goal difference they have come back from since week 1, when they played against Schalke and they had that funnel Kaiser game.
Yeah, that was a crazy
6,000 goal behind there. They've only actually been behind 5 times at 15 minutes, this split.
That's incredible. And this lead wasn't even that big.
No.
And it would be the second biggest, or the biggest since week 1. That is, I mean, that just goes to show you, Fnatic are so good in this early game. I remember before Fnatic really went on their tear and really solidified themselves as one of these top teams, I'll mention a bit later here, is they're trying to catch out Broxah, not their target.
Broxah, but they're actually jumping onto Hylissang as well. Trisha Brosh comes out, Reckless is doing a lot of work here. So is joins from the side as well, Cap's not there. There is the Lamb's Respite to try and keep North Scarin alive. He goes for the healing. Here comes Caps, as you say, jumping across the wall, looking for the chase. But Wolf will spot him out. It means that Fnatic do not quite have the fight they want. Look at that Call of the Forge God timer, though. The Ram is ready pretty soon, and Fnatic can just turn towards the Baron here if they want. All the ultimates by Roccat have been used.
They've been used, and not really on a decent target. I don't think you should throw everything and the kitchen sink at Broxah. I think he's, I mean, if you can get someone, you go for him, right? Sure, you'll take who you can get. But he's not out of position enough for you to do that. You absolutely cannot go for Broxah, who's barely out of position in the first place. I mean, they did what? Less than 10% of his health? It doesn't really play into Roccat at all.
But who do you go for then? Because if you go for Reckless, he's got QSS and the ultimate.
Yeah.
If you go for Hylissang, he can jump away. If you go for Caps, he can jump away. If you go for a fight here in the jungle, maybe you can catch him. And North Scarin actually gets away. Hylissang the first to fall. Fnatic once again tried to force the fight, couldn't make it. This is the shortest TP I have ever seen in my life from Blanc.
That was, what do you call that, a tail LEP? Is that what you call that one? That's
Blanc's
a throwback.
actually going to pay for it as well, because Cap's caught out with the advantage. Sunlight comes out as well, so jumps on towards the backline. Cap's still alive. Blunt goes golden, but he is done for. And Caps turns it back around to Memento once again. Ultimate just about to come off cooldown. Norscarin looking for the chase, misses. But there's the equalizer from the side. Ram's respite used once again. The fight resets. Rocket's still alive. Caps off towards this bottom side of the fight. You can sense it. He knows it. Like a shark smelling blood in the water. Caps can smell a few kills here. He's gonna jump the wall. Norscarin jumps across the chase and the QSS used. No ignite. Caps will have Soas to pick up the kill right at the end, and Caps just about survives down towards the bottom side.
You could sense it in that team fight. It was only a matter of time before Caps found his target, and there it is, Norscarin. And with him dead, and Fnatic honestly being pretty healthy here still, they might decide to turn for this Baron, and I don't think there's too much that Roccat can do about it.
Double Warmog is always going to keep you pretty healthy in this sort of situation. Reset after the fight, you go for the Baron. No TP on Blanc, of course. EQ does have his if he wants to rejoin this fight, but they don't actually have vision on the Baron. Down to about 5,000 HP. Memento on his way, but it would be a monumental steal for him to take this one away. 3,000 Memento there, Caps. You just got to jump the wall. The charm comes in, a distortion as well. That is a very dead Kindred. True shot barrage coming from downtown won't be there in time. Fnatic 29 minutes in, finally get a grasp on this game.
I think we all saw Memento's death coming through there. Probably even him, honestly. But this all starts with an engage into the enemy jungle. And Fnatic been trying these engages all throughout the entire game. And it doesn't really work in their favor, because I can't remember to do this seriously when you just made me want that.
That TP is like when I want to go to a shop that's 5 minutes walk away, I'm like, I'm trying to attack it. It's just like that.
That's just, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't realize where he was on the map at that point, or maybe he was just really keen on getting into the fight. But this game has been defined by engage into counter-engage into counter-counter-engage. The old dipsy-dipsy-do, if you will. And again, that was another one that's set up by Fnatic coming out on top, and it's this late in the game that you can go for the Baron. And again, Roccat throwing everything at a target that... What's the point, mate?
He's pretty tanky at the moment. Reckless and Brox are going to push in for this mid lane inhibitor. It's open, of course, because he's got the inhibitor tower earlier on. Caps.
Oh, gosh.
Says hello to Memento, and Memento says goodbye to the majority of his health bar. Cap's still full HP, jumps back in. Memento's, oh, I can definitely trade. Cap's just waiting for cooldowns. Can't trade against that, 10 and 3.
That was decently tried, but in the end, Swami will claim Memento there.
Oh, wait.
Ooh. Ooh. Was that? I thought something healed Caps there, but oh, it was Roccan's Q. Okay, I thought we had like an Athene's or something like that and just healed Caps with his shield. That would have been crazy.
We have seen Mickey X build Athene's before.
Yeah, I think it's like when we saw the Ardent on Roccan as well. I think, you know, there's more utility from that shield than you would expect.
Look at that Caps damage though, 27,000 damage.
It's pretty crazy when you consider a lot of this game has happened through team fights as well. Like Caps is winning this game and getting that damage through team fights.
Just constantly oh, they get Caps! Norscarin is overjoyed! Caps is dead. And perhaps they can find a fight on McCann as well. There's the equalizer. There's a solar player available for Norscarin if he wants it. Flash forward, hits it onto Hillesheim, but Reckless pops a Featherstorm Prophet with a chase. The Ram comes down, praying to the gods to save them. Soas turns it back around. Reckless still alive on the backline. Can he carry his team to victory? No, he cannot. He's done. And somehow, Roccat find the final fight they need, and they take down Fnatic.
4 kills to 0. I'm going to be honest with you, Medic, mate, I wasn't watching any of that because the Roccat lads on stage were absolutely beyond animated during that fight. They're screaming their heads off, they're making it happen. Norscarin has got a massive, cheeky, cheesy grin on his face. He's loving it right now. And that first pick onto Caps, you're kind of punishing his aggression right here. You know Caps is going to be a bit disrespectful at some point. And there it is, and this game has gone down through a lot of team fights, and Roccat have played the team fights well. They are losing this game, but Fnatic have outclassed him in other areas, team fighting really not being one of them. And Roccat show you right there just how they can punish, and look at it, he's like... When that fight happened and they killed Caps, I heard so much shouting, I thought we were being ganked by hooligans. I looked to my right, I was like, oh gee, do I have to hide behind Medic? Is he going to have to beat off some thugs? No, it's just Roccat really happy that they killed Caps.
Also, I don't know you well enough to protect you yet. If it was Vedius, I'd lay my body on the line.
Would you? That's actually really sweet.
I wouldn't need to though, because he's mega
He's
buff
actually,
now.
he is the Swolster.
The Swolster.
Yeah.
That's his new nickname.
He is massive. Honestly though, he is massive.
He is. He's pretty big. Interestingly though, Fnatic's still pretty big here as well, and Caps now has the Rabadons, the Ludens, and the Morello Nomicon completed, so he's in a very good spot. Reckless, still big as well. It's 40 CS up over the Ezreal, but Ezreal is building up towards that 4th item, so it's pretty powerful. Not gone double tier here, single tier with the last Whisper coming through now.
Yes, and this is the point of the game here where I was going to say, you're kind of hoping
Caps has to QSS and jump away. Blanc goes golden, but Caps can still put a lot of damage down here.
Nice.
Lands respite used. Reckless, he's trying to flank, he's trying to pull a Caps himself. The quickness comes out. Hylissang with perfect timing. Reckless QSS is out from the solar flare. Caps gets one, Memento kills the wrong one. Hylissang's still alive. Heq jumping around the side of this fight, but this has been all about Reckless. Caps was the decoy. Reckless was the destructive force on the backline. Caps now comes in after Reckless falls. Heq's still alive though. Caps gets one, it's all about Heq. Profit under the tower, but regen coming out on Soez pretty soon, as well as that Warmogs is going to kick in. Caps and Roxa get the top lane in here. Roxa just about survives, and Roccat will have to lick their wounds as Fnatic retreat from their base.
Man, this Roccat comp must be infuriating to play versus. There is just an incredible amount of rooster blocking going down with that team comp. You have the Lissandra ulti, you have the Kindred ulti. It's just so much. I mean, this is what happens when your Caps jumping forward, making these picks, and that's why he has to cleanse. So you can't get caught out in that scenario. But here you've got the Zhonyas, you've got the Kindred ultimate as well. These team fights take so long for someone to die on Rockat's side that even though Fnatic have a significant lead in this game, it's actually hard for them to find that opening pick in the fight and take it out. But even though that happens, eventually Reckless finds his prey.
It's a game of inches though.
It is.
All Roccat need is like 1 or 2 more hits onto either Caps or Boxer and they're dead in this fight, and then you turn it right back around.
Absolutely.
And you need Memento not to flash off the clone. That would have been a little bit more helpful.
That was suboptimal use of that flash, I would say. But kudos to him, he did get the clone. That did die.
Yeah, he got his target.
He did.
Wasn't the best target in the world.
He did.
Blanc has a flanking position here. They'll spot out Boxer. There's a ward just waiting around the corner of that. Buffett jumps on by Caps, he'll jump back, but a lot of damage coming out from that Rumble at the moment. Blanc just needs to get onto that backline if he can. Cleanse not up on Caps. This is the moment. This is your opportunity. Minions pushing in the top side. The control ward comes across the wall. Blanc does still have an avenue of opportunity here to engage this fight, but Fnatic can wait. They can be patient.
To be honest,
they haven't proven it thus far.
They have not proven it thus far. To be honest, if I'm Roccat, I'm actually okay waiting for Fnatic to go for the engage.
Caps went in, the equalizer comes down as well. Blanc just running for that backline, but he can't get there soon enough. Rooted in spot. Here comes the quickness, here comes the turnaround, and here comes Fnatic fighting for that top spot. The fight for first is well and truly on, and already Fnatic look to solidify their spot at the top. Heq down, Reckless gets the kill, Caps gets another, and Roccat are wiped off the map.
And with a huge wave pushing in the top side, this could well be the game for Fnatic. In fact, it probably, most likely, 1000% will be.
I think they'll take out Memento first, and then they will take out the Nexus. Fnatic fighting for first now, guarantee themselves at least a tiebreaker for first spot in the EU LCS.
That man on your screen carrying the team fights at the end of the game. But it was Caps who really was the catalyst for the victory from Fnatic there with that just insidious play on the LeBlanc. Really just it was so foul. I'm surprised the referee here didn't give him a red card.
You want to know a cool stat?
Would have been a better joke during the World Cup, actually.
It would have been a much better joke during the World Cup. It's all right, we'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Give it to you. You want to know a cool stat?
What's that?
Caps got the 2nd most kills during a game this split.
Ooh. Who's got number 1?
Caps.
Of
course he has.
No surprise there. No
He is
surprise there.
Yeah, it's just incredible player at the moment. Definitely performing towards that sort of MVP expectation that a lot of people have of him.
And some had earlier than others.
Yes.
I take what I can get.
The last time was against URL, where he played Irelia, didn't die, went 15-0 in 3.
Oh, yes.
Had a pretty dominant performance there.
I remember that game, and I think URL definitely will not forget it either.
Honestly, I think if you're Roccat here, you're not too dismayed. Blanc did not have the best of games. Caps got very far ahead, but you got your Rumble ahead, and Heq did a lot of damage on this Ezreal as well.
Yeah, I wasn't really sold on the Lissandra pick by itself, but I actually think as the game went on, we kind of saw what it was intended to do, and it did have some effectiveness. I just don't think it's the right strategy to take against Fnatic and Caps. I don't think it's enough to nullify them. I think you really have to actually overcome them. And as we saw from this game, Roccat having some good fights, hence the teamfight champions with crazy amounts of damage, but it wasn't really enough for them to ever look like they were going to win this game.
Not really. Remember as well, because Fnatic won, Schalke are now out of the race for first. They cannot get first spot this split because they lose the head-to-head to Fnatic. We're going to have another look at some of those insane plays from Caps on the LeBlanc.
And just highlight reel after highlight reel. I don't know how long we've got for highlights here. It could be about 15 minutes if we wanted to see what Caps was able to do in this game.
1 minute.
It's just, this is one right here where all these fights were back and forth, and Fnatic started it off, and then Roccat looked like they were actually going to bring it back in this scenario. Right here, this is the turning point. But look at Caps. He sees his window, he goes for it, he picks up a kill, and you just can't take your eyes off him for a second because he just does stuff like this. He chunks off going down that low, and then he actually just goes back in, and just keeps dipping in, dipping out of the fights. And it's just like, this guy is just incredible at this champion. Look at him. Just look at that. There was a play right at the beginning of the game as well where he chained, what's his face? EQ.
In the middle of
minions. Like, he's just, that is unstoppable.
It's just dipsy diving into the middle of all of these
ridiculous stuff. Even when it looked like Roccat were going to win these fights.
Yeah. He always positions himself in a place where there's a control ward or where they've swept as well, which is really important.
Absolutely.
All of those fights. He's
got to give credit to the setup of those fights to deny the vision to enable Caps with his plays.
Caps, Boxer, and Hylissang are your options for play of the game. It's going to be a pretty one-sided vote, I have to feel. And to vote, you have to go on over to @LollySports on Twitter. Let's try this, okay? Everyone who listens to this, don't vote for Caps, and we'll see if Caps still wins.
He probably would still
I think he's still going to win, because he just played so well in that game.
It was, yeah. I don't know what to say. It was a pleasure to watch, so I'll say that much.
It was a joy to watch.
Incredible.
In Copenhagen, we had some great moments when Fnatic secured the title. This time around, the EU LCS finals are going to Madrid. That was the worst roll of an R I have ever done in my life. Do you want to try?
No.
Okay, cool. You can get your tickets at eu.lollysports.com/Madrid. There's also some viewing parties happening across Europe. For more information, go to www.leagueoflegendsincinemas.com. When we return, it's time for our match of the week, Misfits Gaming versus Vitality. For more on Fnatic's win, though, let's leave it to Law and their jungler.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you for joining me, Broxime. Congrats on today's game. Now, I have to ask, you struggled last week against Splice, and you struggled a bit today against Roccat. So what happened here? Because you looked unbeatable until then.
I think recently, and it also showed today, we've been a little bit sloppy. We are generally pretty good early game and we get leads, but then we're just a bit too undisciplined, and then we take some really bad fights and we give them too many kills, and then the game just keeps going on and on because someone gets caught or we take a bad fight. And yeah, I think we're just a little too rushed generally in our approach right now, and we have to calm down a bit and get back into our routines and just play the game a bit slower, because this game we were really, really far ahead. And we were snowballing okay at first, but then at one point it just went really, really downhill again. So I think we just have to be more disciplined.
Do you think that the fact that you spend so much time on top of the standings may have been you overconfidence, maybe?
I don't think we've been overconfident necessarily. I think also when playing a bit weaker teams, we have the same preparation, we have the same mindset going into it. And this weekend especially, it's really, really, really important for us to win both games so we can make sure that we actually secure the first place. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on right now, but that's just how League works. Like, some weeks you're doing really well, some weeks not so much, so we just have to find our way back into it before playoffs now.
Now, a bit more about your team, because you may be the first Western team that made a 6-man roster worked perfectly. So how did you got there with the team?
Well, I think, well, to be fair, we've been really, really lucky even having Buivo this year. Because first of all, he kind of saved us at the end of Spring Split when Soas broke his hand, and then now coming into this split, there was suddenly a big shake-up in the bot lane. And yeah, I think having Buivo has been really, really important for us, and just the shake-up that happened in the meta this split has just ended up being in our advantage, because we actually had 2 top laners, and yeah, we took advantage of that. We've been playing a lot with Buivo, but now we're making sure to bring Reckless back on the roster so that we can play with both of them, and it works really well for us.
How different is it for you, especially as a jungler, to play with Bwipo and then another game with Reckless? How different is it?
Well, there is a somewhat big difference because they're pretty different play styles. Like Bwipo likes to play a bit more aggressive, but towards the end of well, not the end of the, but here towards the end of the split, I guess, he started learning to play a bit more safe and play a bit slower, so that kind of helped. But generally, Reckless is a bit more controlled and plays a bit more safe, whereas Bwipo likes to play more aggressive. So I think that's the main difference between them. And at the same time, when you play with AD carries, you know you'll always have scaling. You will always be fine late game. And with some of the picks we played with Bwipo, like Galio, for example, it kind of relied on snowballing early game. So there's a few differences, but overall, I like playing with both of them.
Well, thank you very much for your insights and for joining me today.
No problem.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, it's going to be Bwipo joining us in the analyst desk for Picks and Ban.